What's up everyone, it's going to be here and we are back in RPG Maker MV, and this episode we're going to be going over the effects and traits menu. So I guess we'll just start straight away with the traits. So the effects and traits are two different things. The traits are on things like your actors and your classes, and effects are on things like skills, items and weapon. Oh no, the weapons has traits as well. And so these effects and traits allow you to add things like, as you can see here, the hit rate and all that. So we'll start with traits. So open up here, and I'm going to go through every single one of these. So the first thing we have is element rates. Now the element rates allow you to set up like weaknesses and strengths against other enemies. Like, so you can set a skill up to be a fire element skill, and then if it attacks, say, a grass element enemy, then you can set it to do 200% damage. But if the grass element attacks the fire element, then it only does 50%. It does 50% less damage. So, and you can set all those parameters here with this times 100. So 100 is default damage, no weakness or strength, and anything above that is extra damage. Anything below is less damage. So that's how that works. And the default setting for that is, like I said, 100%. Then you have the debuff rates here. So what the debuff rate is that just say you have a skill that adds a debuff to the max HP of an enemy, so it lowers it by, say, 25% and has a 40% chance of succeeding. If we were to add this debuff rate and add the max HP value here and set to 200%, then what would happen is our character will then have a 80% chance of succeeding with that debuff addition onto the enemy. So that's how the debuff rate works there. So the stat rate works similar to the debuff rate in that, just so you have a skill that adds a stat of poison and says a 20% chance of that stat being added. If we set this stat rate to 200%, then we'll have a 40% chance of that stat being added. So that's successfully added. So that's how that works. Stat resist means that whatever we have this tied to, just say we set it to Harold here, and we set it to poison, that means Harold can never get poisoned. So this is like immunity. And so that's all the rates there, that's how they work. And now we will go over to the parameters here. So the very first parameter tab is it raises or lowers actors' stats. So just say we have max HP now. Max HP for Harold right now is, what class is he? His max HP is 450. So if we were to add a parameter of max HP and set it to 200%, then his max HP will become 900 because we just doubled his HP. So you can do some nifty stuff like that. Now this is a permanent change, or unless you set an event that brings it back down to 100%. But unless you don't, then it's going to be a permanent 100% extra double health, whatever you set it as, Then the X parameter is raises or lowers some extra stats. So this is like your max HP and this is some extra stats for your characters. And what they are is, so I'll go through all these here. There's hit rate, and the hit rate is the chance of your attack hitting the target. So just say you do a normal slash attack, and if you have a 95% hit rate, then there's a 95% chance of you hitting that target. If you only have a 10% hit rate, there's only a 10% chance of your attack hitting the target. Then we have evasion rate here, and that's so there's a mathematical equation between the hit rate and evasion rate. Where I don't know the exact math behind it, but it's something like if the enemy's evasion rate is higher than your hit rate, then they'll dodge the attack. It's based off chances and all that, so it's not 100% all the time they'll dodge and all that. So, like I said, it's got math behind it. So the evasion rate is just a chance of you evading an attack. So if you have a 50% evasion rate, then you'll evade 50% of attacks. Like I said, there's a bit more math behind it than that, but I don't know the exact math, so I can't really comment on that. The critical rate is the chance for an attack to be a critical. So, just say we have a critical rate of 5%, that means 5% of our attacks, so when we do an attack, it has a 5% chance of being a critical. And the math for the criticals are, a critical does 3 times damage. So it goes through the damage formula, which we'll be going over in the skills tutorial later. But yeah, so it takes whatever damage that skill would usually do, and then times it by 3. And so we have a critical rate of 100%, that means we will always be doing times 3 damage. Then there's the critical evasion, and that's obvious, that's just like the evasion rate, and that is the chance of you dodging a critical attack. So criticals don't hit 100% of the time, you can dodge them. Then we have the magic evasion right there, and once again that's the same as evasion rate, just evasion rate is for physical attacks, so I didn't mention that, but evasion rate is for physical attacks, and magic evasion is for, like fireballs and all that. And then there is magic reflection. So the magic reflection is the chance to, just say if someone flings a fireball at us, and we have magic reflection set to 50%, that will mean that we have a 50% chance of hitting that fireball back at the target, and it will do damage to them instead of us. So, and then the counterattack works the same, just for physical attacks. So we could, someone goes to hit us, and we fling that attack back on them, and they get damage. Then there is HP regeneration, MP regeneration, and TP regeneration. These are all the same thing, just for the different stats. So they're quite obvious. A HP regeneration, just say we set to 10%, then we'll heal 10%. So the way that works is that with this set in battles, so just say we have it set to 10%, in battles, every turn we'll be healed 10% health. But this is not just a battle stat either. This also works in the overworld, so if we're running around, we'll be gaining 10% health every, I don't know exactly how many, I don't know exactly how it does the math for the time of it, but just to say 100 steps or so, we'll get 10% health. I don't know if that's the exact amount of steps, but you get you get the drift. Then we have SP parameters. Now these are special parameters, and so the target rate here is the chance of, just say Harold here, being the enemy's target to be attacked. So now, even though it says 100%, that doesn't mean he's going to be targeted 100% of the time. This is that adds them all together and then does some math. So just say we have, let's see here. Let's say we have 3 actors in our party and then ourselves. So we have 3 other actors, so there's 4 people in the party all up. 3 of those people have a 100% target rate, and then just say the 4th person, which is us, has a 300% target rate. That means we have a 50%, that means 50% of the time we will get targeted, and the other 3 members will only get targeted 1/6 of the time. So, so adds them all together, we got the highest target rate, we double theirs all up, so we got double the chance of being targeted. So that's how that works. The guard effect affects how much damage we can take during guard. So in RPG Maker, there's a guard effect. If you go into a battle and you hit guard, then by default you only take half damage while guard is on. And so 100% is half damage. So there is some math behind this. 200% would be half of half, so yeah, 75% or whatever. I'm just trying to look at my notes here, because I do have notes, because there's a lot of stuff in here, so I couldn't possibly remember all of the back of my hand. So the math for this is damage divided by, and then it's not 100% or anything, but anything below 100% is 0 point something. So just say 10%, that'll be 0.1, 20% will be 0.2, 50% will be 0.5. Anything above 100% would be divided by 1, 2, or 3. So 100% is divided by 1. 200% is divided by 2. So it's damage. Let's just say we want to calculate 200%. So it'll be damage divided by 2, and then divided by 2 again. So yeah, it's a little bit complicated, but let's just say our damage is 200. Or let's just say the enemy's damage against us is 200. And so we want to negate that by 300%, so our guard effect is at 300%. That's 200 divided by 3 divided by 2, which will mean instead of doing 200 damage, they'll only do 33 damage. So that's how that works there. And that can go all up to 1,000. And yeah, which will be times 10. Recovery effect affects how much healing skills have an effect on us. So let's just say we have a skill that heals our character by 50 health points, right? And we have this recovery effect set to 200%, so 200% right there. That means instead of being healed at 50 health points, we will be healed 100 health points because it doubles the effect. This is only for skills. Now the next one under, pharmacology, is the exact same thing, just for items. So let's say we have a potion that heals for 50 health points. We have this set at 200%. We'll be healed for 100 health points. Then there's MP cost rate. Now that is quite obvious, obviously. So let's just say we have a skill that costs 10 mana to cast. With this at 200%, it will cost 20 mana to cast it. And the same way around, if we have this at 50%, then it only costs us 5 mana to cast the skill. TP charge rate is the same thing as the mana cost rate, just charging for the TP. So let's say we have a skill that gives us 10 TP after we use the skill. With this at 200%, we'll get 20 TP instead of 10. Physical damage. Now, this one's a little bit confusing. This one you might think would increase our attack by, whatever percentage. So let's just say we have a skill that does 10 damage, and we have it at 200%, then we'll do 20 damage against the enemy. But this isn't true. This isn't true. This is what I thought when I first saw this, but it isn't true. The physical damage is how much physical damage you take, the person with this stat or trait. So let's say Harold has the physical damage of 200%, and an enemy does 20 damage against us normally. With this at 200%, that damage will be doing 40 damage against us. So it's incoming damage, not outcoming damage. It's the same for magical damage and floor damage. Now, floor damage, obviously you know what magical damage is, but floor damage you might not know. Floor damage is tiles on the overworld. So you can set up tiles that are like spikes, and when you run over them, say you lose 5 health. With this at 200%, would lose 10 health. So quite obvious there. And experience is, at the end of a battle, you, it doesn't have to be just a battle, it's anything that gives you experience, but at the end of a battle, you can set up how much experience points a character gets for that battle. Let's just say we finish a battle and we get 10 experience usually. With this at 200%, we'll get 20 experience. So, quite obvious stuff there. All of this stuff is very useful, especially this page. Parameters is the most useful page on here. Now we have attack. Attack element is, like I said before, how you can set up the element rates. This is where you can set what element that specific thing is. So we could say Harold is a ice monster. He's the ice element, which means if we have an enemy that shoots fireballs, then we could take 20 damage if that's how, or not 20 damage, twice as much damage if that's how much we set it up to be. You have to set the rates for this and everything through the element rates and all that, so just keep that in mind. Attack state is okay. So now attack state is kind of like skills, just without skills. So let's say just say you cast a skill and it gives poison, and that will go to the states, which we'll be going over in a future episode. But we can actually have weapons cause states as well. So whenever we attack, so say we have a sword and we attack them, we can set a chance for that attack to give a state, so a poison state or a blind state or whatever. And 100%, that means just say we have poison on blade and we have blade and we have this at 100%, then we'll most definitely give that enemy poison. Okay, then we have attack speed. Now this, the characters in RPG Maker have agility, and agility determines who attacks first. So just say we have an enemy, his agility is 10 and our agility is 20. That means we will attack before the enemy. But if they have agility 20 and we have agility 10, then that means they'll attack first. Now attack speed adds on to the agility. So if theirs is at 20 agility, ours is at 10, and then we add 20 on here, then ours will now be at 30, and there's 20 still, and so we'll be faster and we'll attack first. Weapons and skills also add to agility. They have I'll show you right here. They have speed and you can add stats to agility here, so just keep that in mind as well. Okay, so now attack times is a little bit more confusing. This will take pretty much any normal skill or normal attack, and just say we add 1 on here, or 2. Now, well, let's just say 1. Usually, when we hit attack, we'll only hit the enemy once. But now with this at 1.0, we'll hit the enemy twice. So in the same turn, we'll go bang, bang, hit him twice, and that skill will repeat. I don't really use that. There's also a repeating thing in here, which will be a lot more useful. So I recommend using that, because I'm not actually sure exactly how the math behind the attack times work, and but it's there if you ever need it. Okay, so now under skills, and there is add skill type. Now what this is right now we only have 2 skill types set up, and you can set up as many as you want, or up to 2,000. And so what add skill type does is allows this character to access that skill type. So right now, Harold can't use magic or special because we haven't set it. He actually can, because you set this in the classes and not on the character themselves. As you see, he can use magic. But let's just say, for example, right now he can't use magic or special. We could set it so then he can use that, and he has access to any of those skills as long as he owns them and knows them. Then he can use them. Seal skill type seals that skill type, so he can never get access to them. Even if we set an event to make him manually learn that skill type, he can never use it because it's sealed. So add skill, as you can see, there's all these skills in here. What it does is it learns the skill that we add. So just say we were to add heal, then our character would know the heal skill. So quite useful there. Once again, you wouldn't really add that there, but you could. And the seal skill is the same as a seal skill type. It means, just say we selected heal, that means our character can never use that specific skill. Never ever. It'll be sealed from him. Okay, and now we have the equip weapon. Now, this does not add the weapon to our character's inventory. This is the weapon type. So as you can see, we've got swords and bows, and these can once again be set in the types. And so right now, our character, once again, this would actually normally be added in the class section. But just for example, let's just say right now, he hasn't got access to any weapons, so because none of them are selected. But we can give him access to swords or axes and as many as we want. So, and armor is the same, exact same thing. You can give them access to these categories of armor, and you can set your own in the types tab again. Once again, we'll be going over the types tab in the future, but that's just where you can set everything. So lock equipment, you might be thinking, is the same as the seal skill and seal skill type, but it's actually not. This is built-in categories that you can't change, or you can through scripting, but by default you can't change them. And so these are the stuff that you can equip. So you can equip a helmet on the head, and some armor on the body, a shield and a weapon. And the lock equipment makes it so you can't, in the menu you can usually equip what you want in these categories. But locking it means that you can't equip it yourself. It can still be accessed through events and equipped through events, but you can't manually do it. You as the player cannot manually do it. And seal equipment means that not even this stuff can be accessed through events either. So if we were to seal weapon, then not even an event could add a weapon to our character. And lock equipment means an event can still add a weapon, but our player themselves cannot access that weapon type through the menus. Now, slot type, there is normal and dual wield. What does this mean? Normal is a weapon and a shield, and dual wield means two weapons instead of a weapon and a shield. Now, you cannot have both. You cannot have it so where a character can equip either a shield and a sword or a weapon and a weapon. It's only either or. So if you have it set to dual wield, that means the character can, say, wield two daggers. And if you have it to normal, they can wield a shield and a sword. You cannot have it to where one character can wield a shield, a sword, or a dagger and a dagger. That's just not how it works. Okay, so now action times. You might be wondering what that is. Sounds very similar to the attack times, but it's not. Action times is how many times you get to do something during a turn. So by default, you can only do one thing a turn. So you can only attack or take a potion or whatever. You can only do one thing. If we were to set action times to, say, 100%, you might be thinking that only allow us to do one move. No. Each time we add this to a traits thing, it's actually a chance for another thing to be allowed to do during a turn. So 100%, that means we are 100% allowed to do a second thing during that same turn. If we were to add it again here, that means now we can do three things during one turn. If we were to change this to 50%, that means we could do two things during one turn, and then we have a 50% chance of being allowed to do a third thing. So it's a percentage-wise thing. I've never actually used that, but from what I've read from the wiki, that's what it does. Then we have a special flag here, and there's all different things in here. We have auto battle, and this means that whoever we have set auto battle is no longer controlled by us, the player, but is now AI controlled. So if we set our other party members here to auto battle, that means they'll be controlled by the AI and not us. Special flag guard uses the guard parameter that I was mentioning before. So this is what that does. It allows us to take whatever percentage we set before and use that to reduce damage. Then we have substitute. Now substitute means that if we have this set, then when one of our allies takes damage, we will instead take that damage and not them. So just say if we have a skill that enables substitute, and now we take all the damage and our allies take none. So preserve TP is for when you exit battle. Just say you're in a battle and you have 50 out of 100 TP. If you have preserve TP set here, then when we enter another battle, we'll have 50 out of 100 once again. Usually it'll be reset down to 0. So it just allows you to accumulate it over time from battle to battle. Okay, so now we have a collapse effects, and these are just animations played for when the person dies. So by default, an actor's collapse effect is normal. Boss has a boss collapse effect, and you can change that to whatever you want. Now, party abilities. These are very interesting things here. Okay, so encounter half means that so in the map we can walk around like Pokemon in tall grass, and you can set it however you want, and you can set the chance of an encounter rate. So just that we have it at 30 steps, every 30 steps we have a chance of encountering a monster. If we have encounter half turned on, then instead of being 30 steps to encounter a monster, it'll be 60 steps to encounter a monster. Encounter none will mean that all encounters are turned off, and we can, no matter how many steps, we won't run into a random monster. So now cancel surprise. Now cancel surprise is when you get because enemies can do surprise attacks to where no matter what your agility is, they will be allowed to attack first because they surprised you. And cancel surprise disallows that, so even if they surprise you, whoever has the highest agility attacks first. Okay, so now raise preemptive. What this means is it increases that surprise attack. So the other one cancels it. This one increases it. So with that, there's a double chance of a surprise attack and you being able to strike first. Gold double means at the end of a battle, so this is only for at the end of battles, you can be rewarded gold, which you can set through the enemies tab here. And so just say we have it set so when we win a battle, we get 30 gold. With gold double turned on, we'll get 60 gold. And drop item double means we have double, so you can set random chances for items to be dropped in battles through the enemies tab. And drop item double means that we have double the chance of items being dropped. So just say there's a 30% chance for a rare dagger to be dropped. This will increase the chance to 60%. So now, that's all the traits, and in the next episode, I was going to do the traits and the effects in one episode, but that went a lot longer than I thought it would. So in the next episode, which I'll be calling part 2 of this episode, I'll be going over the effects tabs. So, hope you guys have enjoyed, and see you in the next one.